Well, a very good afternoon. This is indeed our final show of the year. It's our Christmas show, and we had to get somebody very, very special on before the Christmas show ends. So I'm absolutely delighted today to be joined by Sharon from the Little Geek Shack. And Sharon, I appreciate this is your absolute silly season and really do appreciate you taking the time to jump on and have a chat with us today. So before we get into chatting about the Little Geek Shack and that type of thing, why don't you tell us all a little bit about yourself?
Hi, folks. Thanks for having me on, Rory. So I'm Sharon. I live in Wexford. I have three kids, and about 6 or 7 years ago, I set up a business called the Little Cotton Shack. I was selling fabric and stuff online because there wasn't many people doing it at the time, and unfortunately, when I set up, a whole heap of online sellers also started around the same time as me, selling fabric and buttons and the whole lot. And my business was called the Little Cotton Shack. Um, so yeah, I couldn't keep up with competitors. I just didn't have the money to invest and have the stock. They had a lot more stuff than I did. So I was looking for something a bit different, something that would cater for kind of men and women. Because the fabric side of things was more for women and hobbyists and stuff like that. So I found a company selling licensed T-shirts, um, and I just tested online, and they started to fly. So it's things like Spider-Man T-shirts, Beetlejuice, hoodies, all that kind of thing, and it was going well. So I decided to take a little stall down in the local market in the Bull Ring. I started off with a little table, and I had my T-shirts and a few other little kind of products like figures and stuff like that. And then I started to grow it and ended up in a cabin in the same market. So it's like a little shed, and that would be every Friday and Saturday, every weekend. And I was there for, I think, 3 years in total with the Little Geek Shack. So yeah, it was an easy name switch because I was known as Little Cotton Shack, and then I couldn't think of a name for ages, and I was playing around with all different ideas, and the Little Geek Shack just kind of stuck. Um, so yeah, and then I got the opportunity to go into a shop on the main street. It was a small shop, so I moved in there, and I was there for 18 months, and I outgrew the shop, and then I moved to a big shop in Peter's Square next to a quirky bookshop called Red Books. And I was there for 2 years, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, certainly the has grown with you and has been great to have watched your journey as you've grown and
Yeah.
seen the wide range of things that you do. I mean, with the Little Geek Shack, you made mention there things like the licensed products.
Mm.
So maybe have you anything to hand there you could actually show us what you mean by licensed products?
Yeah. So the likes of, so just for example, I have a Beetlejuice t shirt. Um, Now, I know you can get all these kind of things from China, but the quality is rubbish and they're not licensed. And I've always stuck to licensed products only because a lot of sellers out there just, as I say, buy stuff in from China. So it comes with the little tag. Um, so yeah, that kind of thing. So you have Beetlejuice, you have Spider-Man, everything. I do music t-shirts as well. So Queen, Bruce Springsteen, whole range.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, as I said, I mean, I remember meeting you in the Bullring Market
Yeah.
right back when you first had a table, right?
Yeah,
And I mean, then I've watched your collection grow over the years, and I know every time we go into the shop, it's going to end up costing me money somehow or other because you've got something working.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, because I like to kind of bring in things that not everyone is doing. So apart from the t-shirts, I also do collectible figures. So again, your Spider-Man figures, your He-Man, all that kind of stuff. Um, for those, I do like secondhand, and I do new ones.
Yeah.
Um, then when I was on the main street in the small shop, someone gave me in some of their old licensed t-shirts, and they flew out. So I was like, oh God, there must be a market for this. So I started then looking at kind of vintage clothes as well. So I brought in the vintage clothes, and then I brought in vinyl records. So I've kind of got my finger in a few pies, as it were.
Yeah. And vinyl really is making a huge comeback at the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I mean, you can
absolutely.
now. I was amazed to see recently, I think it was Argos actually had a record player, like a turntable, that you plug into your computer
Yeah.
and play through your computer. Absolutely out of this world stuff. We actually have a comment there. Maggie Geraghty just put a comment in. Sharon, fair play,
Oh,
Sharon. You've done really well in a very competitive market.
thanks, Maggie.
So,
Yeah, it's tough going. It can be tough, but I love it. And like I say, I try to bring in new stuff and keep things fresh. Um, yeah, so I don't know if I mentioned that I closed the shop down in June, the physical shop, and I'm focused online only now. And the reason for that was more so family reasons. Like the whole reason I got into business in the first place was for the freedom and being tied to a shop. And when you have a family and stuff, it's just you're tied to a shop, and you feel you're missing out on money when you're not there and you can't be there. And when you have a physical shop, your online stuff, you can't keep the two going. I find it very difficult to keep the two going. So I closed up the shop, and now I'm just online, and it suits my life, and um, it's just working so much better for me.
well, I
I'm a
mean,
customer, customers as well.
yeah, but again, I remember one day actually talking to you, and you were actually mentioning the fact that having done a full day in the office, you went home to spend another 4 hours processing the online orders and that type
Yeah,
of thing. So,
yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy and takes so much time. Um, and to be honest, it's a decision that I've not regretted once. I've
yeah,
loved my time in the shops and the market, but when when things are past their time,
yeah,
and I don't
oh,
have any
absolutely.
regrets. Yeah,
And again, what I think again, what's most important is when it's working for you, you keep going with what works for you. And
exactly.
again, um, as we are talking about Christmas gifts and people may want to get their orders in, you will notice there running across the bottom of the screen is Sharon's website. So if anyone wants to get in touch with her, that's probably going to be the quickest way at this moment in time if there's something in particular you're looking for.
Yeah. Or my Facebook page is very active as well. So what I do, what I have been doing is I'm kind of from every night from 7:30, I'm throwing up a few items on Facebook because I just have so much stuff that not everything is on the website, and I do have stuff that's kind of lying around, that I haven't managed to put up yet. So I just throw them up on Facebook. So tonight I have records going up from 7:30 on Facebook. So it's the Little Geek Shack on Facebook and Instagram. And to buy something, you just literally just message me, and then we sorted the payment details. And
That's
I do
good.
local collection in Wexford Town. So my old neighbour Wally in Red Books is very good. He takes stuff in for me, and people can collect at their convenience from his shop.
Brilliant. Well, now I know before you jumped on with us, you were on a very special Zoom call to the North Pole.
I was with the big man himself. Yes.
Yes. I know that when I tried asking you about it beforehand, you said you can't give too much away.
No, no, I can't. I'm afraid. But
But what are the must-have gifts for this Christmas that people don't even realize yet are the must-have gifts?
well, I tell you one thing that has been flying out, like randomly. So the way I've been out working it the last few weeks as well is I have been advertising stock from my suppliers that I can get in. People pay me a deposit, I order the stuff, and then when I receive the stuff, people pay off the balance. And when I advertise this particular guy, I have sold so many of these guys. I'll show you now, and everyone will know who it is. And he's so cute. Sharon, I'm surprised, is not getting one for herself. Look,
Oh,
PT.
Fabulous. Well, again, of
Now
course, this.
I had him in a red jacket in the red hoodie as well, and he was actually more popular than this particular guy, but he's still selling. Like I couldn't keep the red guy in stock at all. There is no more left. I think I bought the supplier out.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah, he's super cool, super cute.
I've just had Cheryl in my ear telling me that I better let you know that we will be ordering one of those.
Had a feeling, Rory. I had a feeling.
Yes, absolutely,
But
absolutely. So,
yeah, he's cool. And yeah, he was a surprise hit actually this year. I don't know
yeah.
why. People
Well,
were watching
well,
ET.
again, I mean, I'm trying to work it out here. By my reckoning, it's probably 40 years since ET came out.
Yeah,
In or
yeah.
about, I'm thinking it was in or around 81, 82 time.
Yes,
And
it might
I'm
be.
sure one of the film buffs watching will correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I would think it was in or around then. Um,
It's nostalgia. Anything nostalgic kind of triggers people, you know?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I mean, for you, what's your go-to collection? What is it you personally like collecting, or are you just a little bit of everything?
I'm a bit of everything, to be honest, but I'm not a Disney fan. Not a Disney fan, which will shock a lot of people, or Star Wars. Again, that shocks everyone. Um, my kind of thing, I like the horror. I like 80s horror, 90s horror. So The Lost Boys now would be one of my favorite movies. Um, so anything kind of connected to that has a special place for me. Apart from that, I like a bit of everything. I like the Goonies, all that kind of stuff. Um, Again, 80s kind of TV shows or movies,
Yeah.
whatever, you know. What about you, Rory?
Well,
Just go what Carol likes.
yeah. Well, we know what Cheryl likes.
Yeah, yeah.
You have seen our Christmas tree this year,
I did, yes.
right? Now I actually have another comment before we move on here.
Mhm.
Sharon
Oh,
is inspiring to exemplifies all of us entrepreneurs who live on our wits and have no idea what tomorrow will bring. But through a combination of planning and trust, we survive and thrive. Ask Sharon how she'd like a 9 to 5 job and if she'd ever be tempted to go for security instead of living on the edge and trusting in tomorrow. I love her vision and what she brings to the rest of us.
well, thanks, Monique. Yeah, listen, the temptation to get a 9 to 5 has been strong, especially when I closed down the shop in June and I was transitioning to just being online only. There was a couple of weeks there where I hadn't found my groove. I'd lost my mojo. I didn't know what I was doing. I did find that really tough, and I did start to look for a 9 to 5. But then things started to pick up, and I got the buzz back.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. If I have to get a 9 to 5, I'll get a 9 to 5. But so far, so good. Touch wood. It hasn't happened yet. But I love the freedom. It's the freedom, to do what you want, come and go as you please, be home for the children. Like I had dental surgery there last week or the week before, and if I had had the shop, I would have had to just close down the shop and tell, kind of say to everyone, "Oh, I'm in surgery this week," and da 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 da. And then you have people trying to get into the shop when you're closed, and then they come back to you and say, "Oh, I tried to call into your shop and you were shut again." And it's just, I wasn't in a position to hire anybody. So, as I say, it's the freedom is the ultimate thing for me.
Well, I think that is a huge thing. And for so many, I think it's one of the things COVID taught a huge
Yeah,
amount of retail
massively.
businesses
Yeah,
is that it is possible to make that switch from bricks and mortar to virtual, but it takes a huge amount of mental discipline because at
absolutely.
least when there's a shop, you have to get up, you have to go in, you have to open up. When it's virtual, it's very easy to say, "Oh, I'll check it later. I'll check it later." And so keeping that discipline there to that this is your work time, and I think that's where probably you benefited in that you have as such a workspace you still go to. It's just not a public space.
Exactly. Yes. And keeping it separate from the house is very important as well. To have somewhere to go to work instead of sitting at home trying to juggle the housework, the children, the business. For me, it would never work. So yeah, I rented an office nearby, and I have all my stuff here, um, and I just come and go. But yeah, it is. It's very very tough to be what's the word, motivated some days. You
Absolutely,
know. Yeah.
absolutely, and that's so. One question, Sharon, that all of our guests get asked when they come on the show: what for you is the perfect light bite lunch?
Oh my god. Um, Not necessarily a light bite lunch, but I'm a sucker for a tuna melt.
That's
Tuna melt toasty with onion, uh, cheese, tuna, mayo. That's my absolute favorite. Yeah, and
yeah. No,
crisps.
well,
I'm a crisp fiend as well.
crisps.
Yeah, I
Okay.
love
Well,
crisps.
then I have to ask you the biggest argument of all time: Tato or King?
King,
King.
king. Yeah, I'm a king girl. Definitely. But actually, do you know what? I haven't had crisps since I had my teeth done, so I'm looking forward to getting into a packet. I might get some after this.
Very good. Well,
Um,
actually, I think more importantly, what you need to get into after this is today is actually National Chocolate Brownie Day.
oh, right, okay,
So
okay.
maybe you need to um,
Get a brownie
bring,
and crisps.
get a brownie and crisps and bring the brownie home then for the kids for later to share.
You joking? It wouldn't last two
Yeah.
seconds in my hands. Um, but yeah, it's. Are you partial to a crisp or a chocolate? You savory or
I
sweet?
I'm always savoury.
Yeah, me too.
I'm far more savoury than sweet, but again, I would never refuse a bar of chocolate if it came my way,
No.
but I could very easily go long periods of time and not even think about chocolate. So
Yeah, same
again,
here.
it's one of those things that if I don't have it, I'm not overly worried about it.
Yeah. Well, your question back at you. What's your favorite light bite?
At this time of year, would have to be a
Mm-hmm.
mince pie.
Oh, mince pie. Yes.
Mince
Yes.
pie, a little bit of brandy cream on the side.
Every time I'm talking to you, you talk to me about food, and I get off the phone to you sometimes, and I'm starving, going, "Oh my god, it's not
I'll,
fair."
I'll, although what Cheryl is actually making for me today, I'm really looking forward to. It's a roast chicken fillet with some creamy leeks and mashed potato.
Why'd you live so far away from me? I'd be up for my dinner.
Ah, yes, absolutely. So, one of the things we've talked about extensively at different times over the year
Hmm.
are the various government supports that we would like to see introduced for small businesses.
Yeah.
Is there any particular support right now for you feel the government could do without it costing huge amounts of money? I mean, for example, right through COVID, they did the debt warehousing, where you could um, offset anything you owed them for a period.
Hmm.
But as was always going to happen with that, that scheme has come to an end,
Yeah.
and suddenly there are thousands upon thousands. I think somebody was telling me recently that in warehoused, currently being chased, is about 2.4 billion owed in tax to the state, right? And there is suddenly a mad push on to try and get as much of that money in as possible. So, given the fact that we are heading into a recession, right, and it's pretty much well, we're already in the early stages of it, but we are to go into next year, I reckon, a full blown recession. Would you like to see another scheme like that whereby you can do small regular payments to revenue towards what you may owe? Would you like to see a scheme whereby they say, look, we're going to reduce the VAT rate on goods like these to try and make it more affordable for business to buy in? Is there anything in particular you would like to see?
Literally, you've just more or less said it there, Rory. You know, they're really putting the pressure on people now to pay kind of now, and there's no leeway. I don't think they understand really the how bad COVID really was for small businesses. Um, it was so tough, so tough. And another thing as well, actually, that really kind of annoys me, I suppose, is the local enterprise office, the LEO. They always say, oh, we've got grants available, there's funding there. But when you go as a small independent sole trader, there's nothing. It's only for manufacturing and export. Um, there's very I don't think there's anything there for the likes of online retailers or the shops on the main street. There's nothing.
Again,
So
it's a thing, and I think it's a case that depending what Leo you speak to around the country, there are a range of different things. Now, something and a little bit of advice I will give to people is because so many of the courses that Leo offer are now being done virtually,
yeah.
don't just look in your own region. Right?
Oh right, okay.
If you take a look at the wider scale, I recently received some books in from Leo Leitrim, and I'm absolutely dumbfounded by the range of courses that they're offering. And I would say to people again when it comes to Leo, and again, Sharon, as you know, I have never been a huge fan of Leo because I've encountered a lot of people struggling to get anywhere with Leo.
Yeah.
Um, somebody I was talking to recently, and they were promised mentoring by Leo 3 years ago, and they finally had a mentor contact them 2 weeks before they shut their shop down
It's
because
crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
they literally had run out of money and couldn't continue, and the mentoring they were promised 3 years ago had suddenly appeared. So, I would say to people, look at the Leos. There are some absolutely wonderful people in Leo around the country.
Yeah.
There are some counties, and the Leo service is absolutely deplorable. There's no question about it. And
I never knew that you could do the online courses from other counties.
again, the position, as I have been told it by Leo and Leitrim, is if there is room on the course,
Yeah.
well, then we are quite happy to have people from other districts do it.
That's good to know.
So, what I will do is I will actually send you down a copy of the book of the different things they're offering in Leitrim, and as far as I know, they're going to be sending us here in the show in 3 or 4 copies of it for
Brilliant.
each
Yeah.
season. So I will send it down to you and see if there's anything on that can help
Yeah, that
you.
would be cool. Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you.
I'm just looking there. We're almost out of time. What are the last order dates for Christmas for you?
Oh,
If people are looking at stuff,
okay. So I'm personally going to wrap everything up on the 20th for postage. Um, I will do local collection. I will meet people locally, no problem, up until the 23rd. But for postage, the last postage date for me will be the 20th of December.
right? And for people who are looking to put up the bits and pieces that you're getting in from your suppliers, how quickly do they need to be ordering any of those?
That's finished. I've done my last order now for that because I was too afraid. I've been, because deliveries are delayed everywhere. I'm sure, I don't know if you know this, but I was waiting on a delivery from Germany for 2.5 weeks. And like it had been processed and paid for. It was 2.5 weeks. Like usually it's 4 days.
Yeah,
So I panicked and I was like, no, I'll do my last order now. So that's on its way, hopefully.
great,
So
great. Well,
but keep an eye on the
so,
Facebook page because I'm going to be putting up the stuff that I actually have in stock.
great. Well, absolutely. And again, if you want to tell people what the Facebook page is, so it'll be
Oh,
facebook.com/.
the Little Geek
The,
Shack.
it's the Little Geek Shack or just
The
Little
Little.
Geek Shack? The Little Geek Shack.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we're almost at time up for the show, so I will thank you very much for joining us, Sharon, and wish you a
Yeah,
very
no
happy
worries.
Christmas. As I said, this is our last show for this year. We will be back on the 5th of January when we will be joined by, again, another friend of the show, investigative journalist Paul Connolly, who's going to be offering advice on how to break into the world of broadcasting or for any businesses that are looking to enhance their their skills for team training videos or that type of thing. And until then, we wish you all a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Bye.